What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson, joined by the super friends Ryan Wilson and John Breech, along with the pilot of our power rankings plane, the propeller pusher himself, Pete Prisco. What's up, buddy?
Hey, there you go, propeller pusher.
I came up with that one on the fly.
Wow, yeah. You must be sharp today, even though your hair says you're not.
My hair looks great.
No, it doesn't.
I got beef with this this Monday. I don't like a Monday Christmas.
All right, take it out with Jesus. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been. You take it up with him. Just call him.
Get born on a Thursday, Jesus. Because see, like if we get a Thursday Christmas Eve or a Thursday Christmas, then you get to roll it into the weekend. As it is, it's like everybody's sort of like, all right.
If you get a Wednesday Christmas, you get to roll it into the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you feel like the Monday Christmas is kind of like everybody's got to get back to work?
Yeah, the problem is most people don't work on these holidays. They don't work Christmas like we do. They don't work Christmas Eve like we do. They don't work today. Most people take a lot of people, and if you've driven around today, you know most people don't work this week.
Right. But here we are.
No days off. No days off. No days off.
Some days off. Some days off. Pete's in the office. How are you in the office again today? That's impressive.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Pete, how many people are in the office, Pete? Like 4?
Not many. That usually on Wednesday you come in, there's not, the parking lot's full. Not today. Not today.
All right. If you want to check out our festive Christmas recap Ganza, it's in the feed. Myself, Wilson, and Breech had a grand old time after the Ravens stomped the 49ers on Christmas night. Go and check that out. The 10 things we learned from Week 16 games, including Joe Flacco, elite Joe Flacco, making a Super Bowl run is a possibility. Today, we're going to run through Pete's Week 17 power rankings and blind rank MVPs. But first, the Chiefs lost at home to the Raiders yesterday. Real story. Oh, that game was a Nickelodeon theme. Santa doing the gritty, Ninja Turtles doing commentary, sliming the end zones. What are themes you would like to see with football games, Pete?
Themes?
Yeah, like like a Little Mermaid theme or
toga party.
What's that?
A toga party.
A toga party football game. What kind of game? What kind of silly, whimsical themes would you like to see attached to football games?
Squid Games. You play till you die. How about that?
All right,
not in charge.
Let's do we'll do a quick 2-minute. You get the first pick, Pete, because you were yelling last week because you didn't get the first pick in our Super Bowl draft. Who are you taking for Hunger Games head coach? Who's your number 1 pick?
Oh, man. Remember we did this with remember when we asked the head coaches about this, Pete?
No, Hunger Games is different than just a fight and a free-for-all.
Well, you just said they have to do it till they die.
Huh?
Didn't you just say you wanted to do it till they die?
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if you have like a MMA fight, there's different than the Hunger Games because Hunger Games takes some smarts as well.
No, he was like steel cage death match.
Yeah, whatever your ground rules
are.
Death
match.
Well, no, because that favors like the bigger person. I like the Hunger Games.
You're not taking a little guy anyway, Breech. Get out of here.
What? We had this draft in the green room last Sunday, by the way.
Who are you taking first overall?
Probably Dan Campbell.
All right, go ahead, Brinson. You're next.
Dan Campbell's a good one. Mike Vrabel.
That's a good one. Breech.
I'll take Antonio Pierce.
Oh, that's a great one. Oh, he snuck it in. Well, I got to take Zach Taylor. All right, moving on.
I would give you 2 underrated sleepers in that, and you're going to laugh when I tell you both of them.
Okay.
Todd Bowles.
That's not underrated.
That's a good one.
He's big.
And he's a tough guy. And Mike McCarthy.
Oh, you said that before. You like Mike McCarthy.
I'm telling you, he's a Pittsburgh tough guy, and I know a ton of those guys.
What about Sean McDermott, former wrestler, and Brian Daboll, big guy?
Who I take McDermott.
Okay.
I mean, Ron Rivera's a teddy bear, but that dude would wreck somebody.
What about D'Amico Ryans?
Oh, that's a great one.
D'Amico's a good one.
I drafted D'Amico Ryans in our draft when I did it.
Who'd you end up? Mike McDaniel's like slide.
I ended up with. I know I had D'Amico Ryans. I had Mike McCarthy. I had Todd Bowles, and I forget who my first pick was. I had a good team.
100% chance Mike McDaniel knows at least 3 martial arts though. So
and Harry mentioned Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel could win a Hunger Games battle, but he'd get murdered.
Right.
He'd get crushed in a steel
Like,
cage.
don't you think Belichick would be a Hunger Games like a problem in Hunger Games because he's so?
I think he's washed. Like I'm over him on every level.
Wait, so you're just. I'm sorry. Would you like to say that again? You're over Bill Belichick on every level and think that he's.
I'd be a great Hunger Games player.
Oh, here we go.
I'm psychotic. I have no fear other than getting
No
sick,
morals.
and I have no morals
Other than
and-
getting sick. Okay, so we beat Pete with biological warfare.
Well, okay. Well, you beat everybody with biological warfare. Okay. Haven't we seen that movie a couple years ago, by the way? Then we have
There it is.
look at Ryan.
What is he talking about?
Oh, don't ask. Go ahead, Pete. What else?
And then you have I know how to play angles. I know life's angles, how to get in and out of situations and how to get people into situations. I'd be a
Yes.
great Hunger Games player.
All right. Well,
I would be better in Hunger Games than I would be in a steel death cage match. I promise you.
Ooh.
yeah, I think that the death match stuff is for like meatheads. Like you can't if you're just going 100%, not trying to think things through.
Wow. I'm told reliably that the person who peeked into Pete's room, Jamie Eisenberg, wanted to jump on and say hi and happy Merry Christmas. And Pete locked the door to the podcast room. Is that true, Pete?
Oh, it's not locked. Look at it. You can see it.
That's Jamie said
Is
it's
that
locked.
You know what it is? Jamie's so weak he can't open the damn door.
All right, let's get into the power rankings. And we have to start. Dude, there's a new number 1 on your power rankings. And who else could it be? But I assume the Ravens were number 2 before this game. Yes, they were, because they moved up 1 spot. Lamar Jackson, I would hope, is your MVP, Pete, at this point. Brock Purdy, not even on your ballot.
Well, we are such prisoners of the moment when it comes to these things.
I mean, Brock Purdy peed down his leg on.
Oh, it's not Brock Purdy, but Lamar Jackson's numbers in terms of the grand context of things aren't that great. Now he'd probably be my MVP. What if Tua goes up there and throws for 350 and 3 touchdowns and beats him this week?
How many of that does Tyreek have?
None.
Stop it.
Okay, then Tua.
I mean, Tyreek missed a game. Waddle went nuts, and they beat the Cowboys without Tyreek doing much of anything. So it's hard for me to like even have him on the ballot.
I think it's the MVP ballot right now in no order: Lamar, Tua, Tyreek, Josh Allen, and Purdy,
Brock.
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Those are the 6.
I don't even know who's another rando that you would put in there, Breach. You usually have some random.
He's going to put Matt Stafford in.
No,
You
that would
only
be
get
Brinson.
5 though, Pete. You named 6.
Who my 5? Put Stafford in there,
I
Pete.
named 6. What'd you say?
Put Stafford in there.
Josh Allen.
No, I didn't put him in.
He said Josh Allen.
Josh Allen should be.
We did our MVP ballots for Jared Dubin's post. Here's mine: Lamar Jackson 1, Josh Allen 2, Matthew Stafford 3, 2 of 4, and Jalen Hurts 5.
Jalen Hurts.
Stop
Jalen
trying to make
Hurts.
that happen.
Jalen Hurts should not be in the conversation this
No,
year.
like that's a what you
Wait,
do that for?
how did you do it? Do it again. Well, I want to hear it one more time so I can dispute the whole thing.
Lamar 1, Josh Allen
Okay.
2,
Okay.
Matthew Stafford 3,
No.
2 of 4,
Okay.
Jalen Hurts 5.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is
That came out of nowhere over Christian
Should be-
McCaffrey and Brock Purdy.
The 49ers are an awesome team. They are not a team that I think is going to be worthy of having an MVP because there's so many different players that are so valuable. Like I don't think you can take like to me with San Francisco, you can't say Purdy's more
valuable than McCaffrey.
Yeah, and I
can say that.
have a hard time. Look, Christian McCaffrey's awesome. I mean, I've watched him for years in Carolina and love the guy, but I have a hard time I just have a hard time saying like to give it to the running back. I don't know.
Well, and the other thing is the history of that position in that offense, going back to the Mike Shanahan days. Terrell Davis was great when he wasn't there. Mike Anderson put up big numbers when Mike Anderson was there. Orlando Gary put up big numbers. Everybody's put up big numbers in that offense. When the 49ers didn't have their guys, they put up big numbers. You know, Mostert put up big numbers. All those guys have.
And I would say the hardest part about making the argument for running back to win MVP is really just look at the Christmas game at the Ravens win, where you had Christian McCaffrey go off for 131 yards, and they still lost by 2 touchdowns. If you're the MVP and you play out of your mind, your team is almost certainly going to win, not get destroyed. So it's just tough for.
I think Pete's right. I think both you, Breech and Brinson, are victims of the moment. Like, you won't give anyone a break. They have one bad game, but you want to kick them off the planet.
Well, right, but if it's Purdy versus Lamar Jackson head to head, I'm going to take Lamar Jackson because
that's a different conversation.
Here's the other thing: the 40. Look how great the Ravens are.
Over your face.
3 weeks ago, the Rams should have beat the Ravens at Baltimore,
but they didn't.
But they should have. Oh, but you know who did? The Colts did. They're not very good. We get too caught
every
up in
team
what's
has a
happening
bad
in the
loss.
moment. We get too caught up in what's happening right now.
But I agree with you, and I say that too. I'm like, we just react like crazy after 1 week of football, and then that's just like how the NFL works. It's why I mean the NFL loves that we do it. It's because you have no choice but to react on a week to week basis. I think if you take a step back and say, all right, here's the totality of Brock Purdy's season, you're like, this is a great season. To me, the MVP race this year, it's sort of part of the theme about this year with all the backup quarterbacks playing this year. You lose, and then also remember the thing Tom Brady said about play being down or whatever he was trying to come out and say. I think it's just the transition from one generation of quarterbacks to this next generation of quarterbacks. You're not getting the greatest season from Mahomes. You've got guys like Tua and Dak who are flirting with it. Jalen Hurts is playing okay at some points in time. I mean, there's no defined MVP right now. I think if Josh Allen had 2 monster games to close out the year and the Bills won the division, that Josh Allen's going to win the MVP.
I don't necessarily agree with that because if the Ravens, for him to win the division, that means the Ravens have to
beat the Dolphins.
Dolphins, so they would be the 1 seed, and I think that he would get MVP no matter what he does the rest of the way. But look, Lamar's not putting up gaudy numbers,
right?
He's just playing really good football because that defense is so good. He doesn't have to put up gaudy numbers.
I think he's playing better now than he is in 2019.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
It reminds me of. I agree with you too. It reminds me of Mahomes playing better at the position in 2018 than he did in 2017, even though the numbers statistically regressed back a bit from the ridiculous 20. Like he was a better quarterback in 2018, but the numbers in 2017 were just outrageous.
Yeah, I think quarterbacks grow up. I think Lamar Jackson, instead of just being dynamic runaround guy, putting up wonderful plays because he can move, he's playing quarterback now.
And by the way,
when he moves to throw rather than just move to run. And I
haven't looked it up, Pete, but you talk about his numbers being down. Those wide receivers have probably dropped 4,000 balls this year. Every single week, someone's getting hit in the face. Zay Flowers had a tough patch. They dropped 1,000 balls in that Steelers loss. Every week it's someone else. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that because I think he's actually throwing the ball better too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. He's throwing the ball much better. I think this offense fits him perfectly. I think Todd Monken, by the way, does a great job calling the plays.
Both those coordinators are doing great.
Yeah, because the defensive coordinator is special.
He's averaging 223.8 yards per game. He's at his highest number of passing yards in a season already for his career. He's at 19 touchdowns. The difference between 2019 and this year is he had that 9% touchdown rate, and that's unsustainable, but a very similar interception rate. And, I think then when you look at his rushing, he's averaging, 5.5 yards per attempt, led the league in 2019 with 6.9 yards per attempt, and just 52.4 yards per game versus 80.4 that season. I think, and if the 49ers had kept it close, I think this would have borne out. We talked about this last night, but I do think Lamar is going to run more the final 2 weeks of the season if he plays in week 18. And then in the playoffs, I think they're going to have more designed runs as part of that offense. And they purposely kept them out of that offense. Not that they're going to have to do that's going to be the offense. He's going to pass still, but I think they're going to.
You've talked about this theory a couple times. Is that just a Brinson theory, or you're leaning into something? Like, why do you think he's going to run more?
Well, his rushing attempts are just up the last couple of weeks.
Okay, I'm just wondering because you talked about it. I didn't know if you knew something.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like if you look at so he had only like 5 games all season long with more than 10 rushes, and then had 14 2 weeks ago, 12 And then, oh no, excuse me. Had no, sorry. It's the other way around. He had 4 all season long with double-digit rushing attempts, and then has had 11, 11, 12, and then just 7 against the 49ers in a game that was kind of a blowout.
But again, his runs aren't as many called runs as like last night. He had the big play off of a scramble. I mean, his runs they're not called like they used to be. So I think that's one of they have
a few more designed runs sprinkled in there, but I just think it's a byproduct of we've let him play in the pocket all season long. He stayed healthy, and now we can be a little more aggressive running the football with Lamar.
I'm going to give the Ravens front office a ton of credit here.
Sure.
And they've been, dating back to Ozzie Newsome, they've been fantastic for a long, long time. And they've, had a lot of guys come out of that front office because they're usually good football guys. They've done an amazing job when you think about Clowney and Van Noy. Clowney was picked up right before the season. Van Noy was picked up during the season. And those guys are a big part of what they do on defense. It's incredible what they've done. And I'm going to sit here right now and say I was wrong about Kyle Hamilton because he's turned into a really
good. I was thinking about him last night. I was thinking about you too. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's turned into a really good football player. I think, people are prisoners in a moment again or putting him he hadn't played like that all season. That happened to be one of his best games.
He's had a good stretch, though. He's had a good
He's
stretch.
still good, though. He's still played. What'd you say? And
Hall of Famer?
I still don't think he has great twitchy hips, turn the hips and run,
That's
but
fine.
but the way they use him, he's really good the way they use him.
Just leave him closer to the line of scrimmage. They're using him properly. That's another thing that you have to do that we don't see all the time. You use the kids wrong and then they stink.
Correct.
All right, now that we have gushed over the Ravens, let's move closer to where Pete is in Florida. Pete, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you move them up 6 spots from 17.
Your biggest riser.
To 11. Did you only do that because you took them in your Super Bowl draft last week? Be honest.
Yeah.
No, I took them because I think one thing they're doing is getting healthy across the board, which is important because they.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Pete froze.
Pete's having a stroke.
Bucks froze Pete.
No,
that's a shame. That's a
somebody go start.
Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind. He really is. And again, I go back to what I tell you the story all the time. I saw him in May. I went there in May, spent time with them at minicamp. We talked to Baker. We talked to the people in the organization, all the front office, Jason Light, everybody convinced Baker was going to be that guy. And I was convinced watching him practice and the way he worked with Dave Canales that he was going to have a big year. Then we came back in July and it was a quarterback competition. And it was legitimate. It wasn't made up. And the day we watched him practice, he was awful. He threw 3 picks. It looked like he was pressing. So I kind of backed off them a little bit because I thought they would win the division in May. And then I said, nah, maybe not. Maybe the Saints will. But I'll tell you what, I give all the credit. And I love a quarterback who plays with a chip on his shoulder, and he does. He does. And so I think it's a great story, and I think he's really playing well. And they're getting better. They're going to be a team. Nobody's talking about them as the team nobody wants to play in the postseason either, by the way.
Well, on that note, let me ask you a 2-parter right here. Number 1, if they win the NFC South, they're probably locked into the 4 seed, playing the 5 seed, who appears to be the Dallas Cowboys. Can they beat the Cowboys in the wild card round? And would you lock up Baker Mayfield long-term as soon as the season ends?
They can beat the Cowboys in the wild card round at home, A. And B, yes, I would lock them up. I wouldn't go crazy on the numbers, but I would find a way to keep him. I'd find a way to give him a contract that he's my starting quarterback for the next 2 years.
$35 million a year?
What's Daniel Jones's deal average right now?
It's more than that.
Yeah, but it's funny money, though. There's a lot of funny money in it. So I do something where I could get 2 years out of them and then see where it goes from there.
And the other thing that's worth
what are
noting
your options if you don't have them?
No, I agree with that. And the other thing that's worth noting that it feels like we talk about it, but people forget about it. You got to get the right coordinator in there. Dave Canales has done an awesome job. Like Byron Leftwich, they were frustrated with him. They moved on from him. That was Bruce Arians' guy. And they got Dave Canales, who's, by all accounts, pushing the right buttons. And I think that's a big part of why. Because when Baker was leaving Cleveland, it didn't make sense the way that Stefanski was using him, even though Stefanski's good. And it felt like he needed a fresh start. And
he
took
was
a couple
hurt,
stops.
though, in the last year. People forget that.
And they kept throwing the ball. That's why I don't understand.
Yeah. But here's the other thing about Canales, and Todd Bowles told me this, and he said it before elsewhere, but he didn't know Dave Canales. He didn't know him. He brought him in for an interview at a suggestion of somebody, and then was so impressed with him, he brought him back a second time and hired him. He didn't have any background. Well, usually these guys hire their friends, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's refreshing. And Canales has done a really good job with Baker Mayfield in that offense.
Handsome devil, too.
Indeed. Your other biggest riser, Pete, my Los Angeles Rams, up to 10. It's hard to believe that they're in the position they are in terms of the playoff race. Sean McVay can flat out coach, up 6 spots from 16. Are the Rams the most dangerous team in the NFC?
Yes. In
terms of
More so than the Buccaneers?
They're not more dangerous than the 49ers, but
No, but the most dangerous team, not the best team.
Like the most dangerous wild card team for sure is the Rams. And again, I'm going to give tribute to the front office. You know, Les Snead has done a great job. And I've known Les for years. You know, I tell the story all the time. Les was the guy who went and picked up Andre Rison when he was late every day when he was in Jacksonville. So that's how he got started in football. That
Pete,
was
by
Les
the way,
Snead's job.
you also texted Les at the combine a few years ago when you tried to get Breech fired to let Les know that Breech was going to write a story about Todd Gurley's knee. Remember that? You get Breech.
I was trying to help him out to get him a quote.
You said to him you were getting fired. I believe those are the words you said to him as you walked away.
That's what I told Breech that to get him all stirred up.
You told Breech was getting fired?
Breech was nervous. Breech was breaking legit.
Breech was freaking out, man.
But anyways, back to the Rams. Look at look at the draft this guy's been having. He got Kyron Williams in the 5th round. He got Puka in the 5th round. He got Turner and Young in the 3rd round, and they're combined 12.5 sacks lead, all rookies in a pairing together. And Kobe Turner has more sacks is a half more than Aaron Donald does. I mean, that's then before the season starts, he gets Akilo Witherspoon, who was a bust, and he's playing well for him. Kevin Dotson, who you knew from your Steelers days, he's been phenomenal on the offensive line.
They had Akilo there too, and they cut him last year.
Yeah. And then we got John Johnson again, and he's become a part of their team. I think what he's done as drafting is incredible, and the development by Sean McVay and his staff kind of elevates that. And you
and
still
Steve
have 2
Avila, the
stars.
2nd round pick, is starting to guard too.
Yeah. Well, Avila's starting at left guard. Alaric Jackson, who they drafted in the late rounds, is starting at left tackle. I mean, the whole offensive line is a mishmash. I think he's done a great job, and Sean McVay knows how to develop guys. But you still have 2 cornerstone stars, high-priced stars, in Stafford and Donald on both sides of the ball, and that matters.
They've done a great job of building around those high-priced stars. You know, when they had Ramsey for a while, they had the 4 guys, right? Kupp, Stafford, Donald, and Ramsey. You trade Ramsey. It's understandable why people thought this team wouldn't be very good. And Stafford, Kupp was hurt last year. Stafford wasn't very good last year. He was hurt the entire season. He's playing awesome football right now. He's slinging. You saw it 2 weeks ago, and like the torque and the velocity and the spin on his deep ball is it's just different than a lot of other guys can even throw it. And when they're on, man, they're a problem. We were talking about this last night, but Lions Rams spicy.
That would be interesting.
A lot of the
really
NFC matchups are spicy ones. There's no clear cut slam dunk home runs.
Let me ask you this: if they had, because they should have won the game against Baltimore. If it played out that way, they beat Baltimore, and then Baltimore goes to San Francisco and does what they do. Would more people be talking about the Rams as being a legitimate NFC title contender?
I mean, we're talking about it here every week. We change our mind, so it just depends on whether they won this week or not.
I mean, there's a lot of good young talent on that team. It really is, and they've done a great job drafting. And one more thing about that team and others. Let me reach back behind me and grab a running back off the shelf. Here we go. Yeah, 5th round. I'll throw him in there. He's a star. Look at the kid from Georgia yesterday for the Raiders.
Zamir.
Here we go. You go run. I mean,
exactly. That's why the McCaffrey thing to me at MVP is tough to do.
What is going on? You gave me such a hard time a year ago when they traded for McCaffrey because it's like I don't know.
It's a great trade. It's a great trade. I just don't think he's the most valuable player in the NFL.
Blink twice if you're being held hostage because something's going on there. There it is.
How many, Pete? How many quarterbacks on either side, AFC, NFC, do you think can just get so white hot that they take over and win a Super Bowl? Look, how long is the list for you of?
I mean, in Nick Foles fashion.
Like Nick Foles, Joe Flacco fashion.
I mean, guys have gotten hot that have no business getting hot. Any of them can get hot.
I know, but I
The
mean, like,
question is who can't?
Yeah, that is.
well,
like,
okay, who can't?
how do you feel about Brock Purdy? Because he's now a guy who struggles in the postseason, and he struggles on a big stage
He
the other
can
night.
still get hot and go.
How do you
He
feel
can still
about
get
Gardner Minshew?
He ain't making the playoffs.
What?
Yeah, they might. Who's taking him? Who's knocking him out? The Raiders.
Well,
The Texans?
maybe the Raiders. Don't the Raiders and Colts play?
The Raiders,
Raiders are
are
like
7-8. They need
All right, Pete, you
75.
tell me. All right, I'm gonna list the current playoff teams. You tell me yes, no. I'm talking like they get like hot, like take over and make a run.
Joe
Lamar
Flacco
Jackson.
12 hot.
Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, yes.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Patrick Mahomes, I assume yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Can Patrick Mahomes this year get hot?
Yes.
Trevor
I don't
Lawrence.
I don't know.
Yes.
No.
Joe Flacco.
Wait, Trevor Lawrence can, but with the way his offense is constructed right now, no.
That's right. Right. So no.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence. I mean Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it just depends on what day of the week it is. If it's good Joe, you got it. If it's bad Joe, you're going to throw 3 picks.
You just got to
in the
wait
first
out the
half.
interceptions, and then he throws a bunch of touchdowns. So you got to make sure you have a.
And by the way,
Josh
Kevin
Allen.
Stefanski should be the coach of the year.
I don't hate that.
Don't
He's
hit
done a
that at
great
all.
job.
4 quarterbacks. Josh
Yeah.
Allen.
Yes, we know that. He can do that.
Mhm. Gardner Minshew.
No, he
How
stinks.
dare you?
Brock Purdy.
Yes,
Jalen Hurts.
yes. He did it
I think
last year.
it's the same as the Jacksonville offense in terms of not knowing which offense is going to show up, though.
Jared Goff.
He can do it though. He's done it. Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Dak
Streaky.
Prescott.
Yes. Although history says no, but I'd say yes.
He's
Matthew
playing better.
Stafford. Obviously, yes.
Eugene Cyril Smith III.
Thank you, Breech.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
look, I'll
okay.
give
So
I'll give him
everyone
credit.
get hot and win.
I give him credit, by the way. Hey, Nick Foles did it. It's the greatest accident of all times happened. It can happen to anybody. You get hot at the right time, you go.
I mean, I don't know. It's happened, twice in NFL history we've seen a quarterback, a Folesian situation where it just seems like the odds are set.
Yeah,
against
to me, the list is Stafford. Like, if I'm saying like the quarterback can just take over, it's like Stafford's the only guy I really see on the NFC side who just can just
Oh.
take over with talent and just.
So Phillip Rivers retired. Who's gonna be your guy when Matthew Stafford retires? Because this is going to
Brinson
be a
will
bit more.
retire.
Not only that, I mean, didn't Jalen Hurts take over last year in the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm saying like go win the Super
And they didn't
Bowl.
win the Super Bowl, though.
Well, he probably should have been the MVP of the game. I mean,
Yeah. Ah.
so
Except for
So-
that fumble.
I mean,
he's done it.
I mean, right now in this moment, like I don't think Hurts is doing it the way that.
No, I don't think Hurts is playing as well as he did.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Stafford's the only guy I would trust in the NFC side to just like black out and like take over with sheer talent. Like Jared Goff can play really well, but I don't think he's going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But then NFC,
any
AFC
of them are
side,
capable of
Lamar,
getting hot.
Mahomes, Josh Allen, and I'll throw Flacco in there.
I'm not
You're
convinced
gonna throw
Mahomes is
Flacco
getting
in
hot.
there over Tua.
They
I just
hate
think
Tua.
You have to have Mahomes on that list of guys who could do it.
I don't. He's off my list.
Okay, what's your list, Wilson?
I think Tua deserves some credit. Me and producer Harry are the only Tua fans, the Tua nons on this podcast. These two, they hate Tua more than.
Look, I was
What?
a critic of Tua, but he's improved greatly. He's improved, and okay, you can say all you want about every. You know, they criticize Purdy for having all the weapons around him, but so does Tua. But
Yeah.
so what? That's how you play. You play with what you got.
And their
Yep,
offensive
sure.
line has been banged up.
I'll tell you
I
what. Well,
think-
you know, while we're talking about teams and their flaws and who we think could get hot, why don't we take a break? We'll come back. And we'll play a game of Vote of Confidence. The dreaded Vote of Confidence. We'll tell you about it next.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right. Let's talk. Instead of, we were having this sort of a haphazard discussion about the quarterbacks, and I think this basically takes us into the same territory. Playoffs are almost here. We know who's going to be involved. We certainly have some questions about all of these teams. The Chiefs we'll get to in a second. But first, on a scale from 1 to Nick Mullins heaving a ball downfield in the vague direction of a receiver, Is that the high confidence? I feel like that's low confidence. Or I guess I'm very confident Nick Mullins will heave it downfield haphazardly. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you, Pete, in the Cowboys winning a road playoff game?
7. I mean, I just talked about why Bucks can beat them, but I still think the Cowboys are the better team, and
They stink on
they
the
can
road.
they can go there and win. Now, the question is, are you confident that they can win 2 on the road?
No.
How about 1? I mean, I don't know why you feel comfortable about them winning 1.
I'm 3.5 on the first game and then like a 1.
They should have beat Miami on Sunday on the road. What are you
didn't.
talking about?
They didn't though. That's the
I know,
problem.
but they should have.
They don't have a win on the road.
And they should have
0-4
beat
on
the
Oh,
Eagles
they
on the
do.
road.
Sorry, they beat the Giants on the road and the Panthers on the road.
And they should have beat the Eagles on the road too, by the way.
But they didn't.
They
They should have.
They
But
play
they didn't.
the Eagles on the road in the playoffs. You don't think they can go win that game?
They can, but they
can
haven't
win
shown us
any
this year
game.
that are capable of doing it.
You're just
Yeah, they
totally
can win.
different at home.
7. I give it a 7.
I'm actually leaning towards the 3.5.
They
points.
also
No.
beat the Chargers on the road.
Sweet.
That's a neutral site at best. Breech,
5.
you want to give a number? You just gonna sit there. and
My
complain
number
about
is
the
5.
You're just gonna
Classic
middle it.
Breech. All right, Pete. On a scale of 1 to Nick Mullins, heaving a ball downfield the vague direction of a receiver, how confident are you in the Chiefs receivers? A Chiefs receiver catching a game-winning touchdown.
4, but they ought to be worried about Travis Kelce too.
Ooh.
What's he
part?
done in the last 5 weeks?
Oh.
Anything?
Do you think that Taylor Swift has ruined Travis Kelce's career?
No. I think age might be catching up. to
Is she a
Travis.
distraction to Travis Kelce?
No.
No, that's the
No.
same
Should
team.
Travis
That
Kelce dump her before he ruins his
Brinson is
football
trying
career?
so hard to get a Pete cutout on Twitter.
He's not getting a peak cutout on Taylor Swift. You're not.
Pete being attacked by
I-
Swifties on Twitter would make
I mean,
my Christmas.
is his distraction any more than some guy who goes home and gets berated by his wife for 12 hours a night? I mean, come
The
on.
distraction might be that Taylor Swift won't stop complaining to Travis Kelce that she has to be friends with Brittany Mahomes now.
Pete, do you know the other thing is too? By the way, he's at now having to do everything Travis Kelce is. George Kittle doesn't have to do everything. Andrews, when he was healthy, Sam Laporta doesn't have to do everything. Now Kelsey's the only
He's
show in
dropping
town.
the ball. He's dropping easy passes. He never
He'd
did
be
that.
pressing. He'd
Just,
press.
there's something going on with him. Here's the other
That's true.
thing. I heard this the other day. Taylor Swift's going back on tour to Japan, and it opens the day after the Super Bowl, I think. And somebody said, well, she'll have a tough decision if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think they're going to have to worry about that.
No, you're right.
I thought you were going to say she's going back on tour when the playoffs start and Travis Kelce can finally start paying attention again to football.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
All right. Any numbers for you guys? I'll say 4 is a good number. I like 4.
Yeah,
What's the
4.
About Chiefs
Game-winning
receiver?
touchdown pass. Yeah, but
Chiefs receiver.
they figured it out last year.
Different players. Juju was there.
I don't think they're going to make a Super
Oh
Bowl
my
run
God.
because it doesn't
Juju.
go through. It's not going to go through Arrowhead now. But I do think that people are really discounting the idea that Mahomes and Travis Kelce can just get hot for 3 games.
They haven't though, so I understand they can. But the way this team is constituted, the offensive line stinks.
Well,
I don't
the
think-
tackles are really bad, and Creed Humphrey hasn't played as well as he
So we're
did.
just
in
gonna
the
snap our fingers and say, "Oh, it's fine." What are they waiting for? Why aren't they? They couldn't beat the friggin' Raiders at home.
Who didn't complete a
I think they
pass
missed-
for 3
I think they
quarters?
missed Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, how about that? That's another interesting storyline.
They get too cute too. What the hell are they doing? You played football.
Classic
on.
Chiefs.
All right.
Did the Bengals
On
beat them this week?
How who?
Stop it. If
The
Mac
Bengals-
Yes.
starts, they do.
Yes, they can win this week. They absolutely can.
Stop it.
Did Jake Browning turn into the pumpkin on against?
No,
the
it was
Steelers?
against the Steelers. The Bengals suck against AFC North teams.
Hey P, that was the Rick Spielman revenge game. So that Jake Browning got some Rick Spielman humble pie.
Bengals
we
are
kept playing that
8-2. 8-2
over and
this year
over
again.
again. But Rick Spielman got back at him though because he turned into who he is. Brady Quinn gets mad at me all the time. You are
Any who Big Browning is?
what?
Wait, what did Rick say?
No, Rick. Rick is the one that they said cut him and put him in the hotel room. Jake Browning was mad at it, and Rick Spielman. And we had Rick. We brought it up on the Sunday after he said that stuff, and Rick apologized. I'm sorry. So we always play. I'm sorry for him. That's all. That's
All I think said Rick got back at
Now,
him.
Jake Browning, you saw the clip where Jake Browning screams, "They should have cut me."
Yeah.
Turns out they should have cut him.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you are
Breech.
what you are. Yeah, every backup quarterback comes in and has 3 or 4 games. And everybody starts Josh Dobbs, no different. They start raving about Nick Mullins, and then they turn into who they are. You are who you are.
All right. On a scale of 1 to Nick Mullins, how confident are you in the Eagles calling a play other than the tush push on 4th and 1?
Oh, 0.
None.
Why would they?
0. Yeah.
No. How confident are you in the Eagles' offensive play calling on plays besides the tush push?
Oh, is that
0.
what the question is?
Also 0.
Yeah.
1.5.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I messed that up.
What I want to know, did it come out that what Devontae Smith was arguing with
They all
Sirianni
hate
about
each
it
other.
at the end of the game? Did you see it?
No,
It's almost like he was asking to go in and play defense or something. It was he's told him, get out of here. You didn't see that?
I did not.
Yeah. And so, I have no confidence in their offense. They look lost at times on both sides.
They're the worst 10-4 team I've ever seen.
On both sides of the ball. You look at their defense. They have these wide gaps in their defensive line, and the holes are gigantic. That offensive line is terrible, and their holes are gigantic. Terrible.
All right. Scale of 1 to Nick Mullins. How confident are you in the Dolphins beating a winning team?
They just did it. What are you guys doing?
I'm
Yeah.
reading producer Harry's lines, bro.
Oh, Harry's trying to set you guys up again. I know what Harry's up to.
I would say I'll say
Cowboys.
5.5.
Stop.
Well, if they could beat the Ravens if they do. So you give it a 5.5 and 10 chance that they beat the Ravens this week.
I'm not confident in the
Bills.
Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins still just scored 22 points against the Cowboys at home.
Cowboys
have won that
defense is good,
Cowboys should have won the game.
Yeah, the Cowboys should have won that game.
but they didn't. I don't understand.
But they didn't. But they should have.
The Ravens, the Dolphins have, against good teams, the Dolphins offense has looked substantially less explosive.
That's how it works.
What do they score this week against the Ravens?
20.
7.
Yeah, 20. and
7? You said
17.
7?
17.
Oh.
the Ravens probably scored 20. I don't know what the over-under is.
45.
30 to 20.
45 to
say-
17, Ravens beat the Dolphins.
Oh my
You're
God.
crazy.
30 to
He
20.
is crazy.
Prisoner of the moment. Prisoner of the
Yeah.
moment alert.
Every
the best in
week it's like a yo-yo.
How confident are you in the 49ers coming back from down more than 7 points?
Against who?
Anybody
Anyone.
in the playoffs?
The Steelers, 100%. Anyone else, 0%.
They can do it.
What number?
Kyle
1 to 10.
Shanahan, 0 and 38.
They
Which
can do
nine?
it. Why can't they do it?
Because they
Pete,
have
let me ask you this. I talked about this last time on the podcast. Are we at the point in the conversation, because we talk about Lamar struggling in the postseason? Kyle Shanahan's worse than Lamar in the postseason, and it goes back a little bit.
Yeah. And he got, by the way, he got away with
Yeah.
one last night when on that fourth and 1 call when he had the defensive holding, because that was the Kyle's a great offensive coordinator and a great play caller and a great head coach. But why don't you just run the ball there and get your first down? What was he doing?
When
And
Purdy got sacked?
all I said right then, I go, it reminded me of take 3 knees and you kick a field goal and you win a Super Bowl in Atlanta. Remember? Take 3. They could have just taken 3 knees and they win a Super Bowl.
I don't disagree.
I thought this was interesting from Mike Sando. 49ers are 0-38, down 8+ in the fourth quarter under Kyle Shanahan. All teams win 7% of the time in those situations. 98, 1,337, and 4. KC is the best win percentage, 6-14, 30% of the time the Chiefs wins in those spots. Green Bay next, 7-34 with a 17.1% winning percentage. Seattle 1-38, Carolina 1-58, Indy 136-1, Baltimore 2-22, Dallas 2-37, New England 3-35. No one really wins these. Helps to be good at drop back passes. San Fran scheme, quarterback weakness equals drop back pass.
Well, that's not how they're constructed, but that doesn't mean they can't.
I'm just saying it's like they can't come back down from down 8+ in the fourth quarter. Like most teams aren't good at doing
Yeah, well, there's a big difference between doing it once and doing it never. If I've won the lottery once and you've won it 0 times, I feel pretty good about myself. So
That's
it's
the
like,
dunk button. You got
but
numbers.
okay,
the
like
lottery.
these
No,
numbers-
are you
great
equating
that
the
it doesn't
lottery
happen
to a
often, but they've
skill?
never done it. They've never done it.
The lottery's complete random luck, dude. You just made your point.
No,
Irrelevant.
What do the stats look like when it's 7+?
0%. It doesn't matter how bad the other percentages are.
I mean, I bet the stats look different when it's 7+.
Eight's an interesting number because it takes out a bunch of it's a bit of a cherry pick.
7+?
So you make excuses for the 49ers, but the Dolphins, who beat a really good team, that's irrelevant. You got some
Why
wild.
are you sucking up to Harry Wilson?
I like the Dolphins. Oh, Brinson. Brinson and Breech both hate the Dolphins with a passion of a million suns.
I do not hate the Dolphins. I love the Dolphins, both the team and the animal.
On a scale of 1 to Nick Mullins, how confident are you in the Lions defense making a critical stop?
Yeah,
0.
0.
It's
no,
not great.
they're about a 4. I worry about that defense. By the way,
They gave up
In a
11
big way.
explosive. They gave 11 explosive plays on Sunday. Whenever they played over the weekend, that was double the next team, and that next team was the Ravens when they got those big chunks against Brock
There is
Purdy.
nothing better, by the way, than watching a Lions game with Rick Spielman.
Is he?
Oh my God.
All right.
Because his brother's
Pete,
in
let me
the
ask you
front
this.
office, so it's like, he goes nuts.
Pete,
Nuts.
if Matthew Stafford played against the Lions in the playoffs, how many yards would he throw for? Over, under 400.
Well, that's a good number.
That's a high number. Come on.
Over, under 350.
Over. I think
Over.
it's-
Over
I think it's
500.
370. Over 370.
500.5 over.
Imagine Stafford beating the Lions.
Hey,
By
look,
throwing
Brinson.
370.
Before we get Pete out here,
Well, let's
when
take
you're
a break.
done,
Pete, can we take a break and then you do blind ranking, or do you need to go?
What time is it?
42.
2:43.
I gotta go. I gotta be out of here. I gotta go down. I'm on right at the top. So
All right, before we go, let's quickly. I want to see. Let's update the Super Bowl rank and see how we feel about it. So here's my team: 49ers, Miami, Cleveland, Indy, Brinson's Baltimore, Detroit, Rams, Houston. Pete, your team is terrible: Chiefs, Eagles, Jags, Bucks, and Breech is Cowboys, Buffalo, Seattle, Cincinnati. Which team do we like the best?
The read yours again, Wilson. You got
49ers, Miami, Cleveland, and the Gardner Minshew's.
do you like Indy or Houston better? Because I think that's what it comes
Houston.
down to with you and me.
And you have the Ravens, you have the Lions, the Rams. Yours
But
is actually pretty
here's
good.
the difference. Every one of my teams, if they're going to have home playoff games, you're not.
But everyone in your team stink except for the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the
They're
best
all going to
team.
have anybody can win. This league, haven't we learned that this year that
That's true.
anybody can win? Anybody.
What about Breech? Cowboys, Bills, Seahawks. The Bengals are out, but you have 3 teams. Breech. that
Bills
have-
are spicy there.
I like
Bills,
the Bills.
Bills are very spicy.
And they were a second-round pick.
They were.
We were
indeed.
sleeping on them.
Who did Pete take instead of the Chiefs?
Yeah.
And then
He took the Chiefs with the 3rd overall
All right.
pick.
So do you think the order would? So it went Niners, Ravens, Chiefs,
and then Breech.
Cowboys, Bills. How would the order go if we did it today? Do you still go Niners first, Wilson?
I would be the victim of the moment. Probably take the Ravens.
Yeah,
And
I
then
would
Niners
happily
go
take the
second.
Niners at the second overall in the NFC.
I don't know if Prisco would have taken the Chiefs at 3,
No,
though.
you
After
ain't
this
taking the, who you
loss.
taking 3rd overall.
I think you're
Pete?
taking the Bills, Pete.
Yeah, you would
Probably
definitely
me.
take the Bills,
I would take the Bills.
and then
You
Breech
take
would
the Bills at
Chiefs.
3. So Breech would go Chiefs and Cowboys,
Probably.
and then Pete would come back with the Eagles.
Oh, Pete came back.
No,
with the
I might have
Eagles.
taken the Dolphins because they would be coming off the Cowboys.
Leave
win.
my Dolphins alone.
Maybe Dolphins, Cowboys.
I like teams that play at home in the playoffs. It's hard to win on the road in the
Okay.
playoffs.
Well, we'll see. All right, I don't want to keep you. I just want to do that real quick. For
Oh,
you.
that's good.
Okay.
Good exercise. All right. That'll do it for Pete on the show. When we come back, we're going to blind rank some MVP winners in the history of football.
Mark
Pete.
Mosley won.
Good.
Go
All right. Thanks, Pete. We'll take a break
See
when we
ya.
come back. MVPs next.
We're back for an all-new season of Ink Master.
This is wild.
And 3-time Ink Master winner DJ Tamby returns as a judge.
Guaranteed there's going to be some shots fired.
Y'all gotta watch your back.
You're gonna get it because you talk a lot, bro.
This tattoo is badass.
That is insanity.
This piece is super dynamic. You better strap in and be ready for the ride.
Victory is a work of art. Ink Master, new season, now streaming exclusively on Paramount+.
Okay. Time for some blind
Hey.
rankings. Everybody,
Hey,
Robbie.
Robbie Brinson.
They said, hi, Robbie.
How you doing?
Robbie.
Hello, how you doing?
You having a good break?
What a cameo.
Good.
Thank God it was 2 fingers. All right, let's blind rank some MVPs. Who wants to be our blind ranker? Wilson, you want to do it this time?
I'll do it. I
Don't
haven't
look at the
cheated yet.
script, Wilson. Don't cheat.
All right,
All
I
right.
haven't looked.
Okay. With Lamar Jackson
Is this historical or just 2023?
Historical.
All right, let's go.
All right, we will start. This has been fun with Pete, actually. 2002, Rich Gannon.
He had a great year. Week 2 of that year, they beat the pants. Maybe in week 2, they beat the pants off the Steelers. Whew. Week 1 was the Brady's beat the pants off the Steelers. I had to pull a breach here. Rich Gannon, number 3.
Ooh.
Had a resurgence after leaving. I think he started in Kansas City, came to Oakland, and then caught a fire, won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when he got paired up with
JG.
John Gruden, he took off. That 2002 season, yeah, Gannon had a Pro Bowl season, all-pro season in 2000. They went 12-4.
Garner was on that team, I believe.
4,689 yards to lead the NFL, 67.6% completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, just 10 interceptions, MVP, third place offensive player of the year, his second All-Pro, and his fourth consecutive Pro Bowl. Made 4 straight when he got to Oakland after being largely irrelevant in Kansas City. I think it's one of the underrated great examples of a quarterback getting paired up with a coach and what it can do for their career. All right, Breech, you want to give him the next one?
But then he went to the Super Bowl and had to face that coach. And
Yes.
that's another story. Here's your next one, Wilson. 2 defensive players have won the NFL MVP. This guy won it in 1986, Lawrence Taylor.
Jeez, I want to give him number 1 so bad. He was special. He's from Williamsburg, Virginia. And then he went to UNC.
Ew.
And then he went to New York and went absolutely bananas. Man, dang it to heck. I'll go number 2 just because we're early in the process, although he's a number 1 talent. He's a first overall pick almost every year.
20 and a half sacks.
While not
It's
being
just
sober. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
The most sacks he ever had in his career, 20 and a half. It's wild. Like, how many sacks do you think Lawrence Taylor would have in a season now?
Millions, and he would kill even more
40.
quarterbacks. He wouldn't
But
care
he'd
about
He'd
the
thrown out of
probably have a
everything.
30 sack
Yeah.
season. That's how good he was. He was a defensive player who won MVP. Do you happen to know who there were actually 10 guys who got votes for MVP, but only 5 who got multiple votes. Can you name any of the other 4 guys who got multiple votes? Lawrence Taylor got 41. The next guy got 17.
What year is that?
1986.
Joe Montana.
Phil Simms.
Neither of those is correct. Montana got 1 vote.
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino got 9 votes. Third
John
place.
Elway.
John Elway, 5th place, got 3 votes.
Oh, I'm doing all right there. All right.
Yeah, so
There
you're
must be
missing-
a running back that I probably don't
2
know.
running backs you're missing to fill in the top 5.
Marcus Allen.
Oh, that's a great call,
No.
Breed.
No?
No?
Dickerson.
Dickerson is correct.
Yes.
John Riggins?
No, the other one was Joe Morris of the Giants.
Oh, he's a little.
Never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
right.
14 rushing touchdowns. I think that must have been a year like this year where it's like you weren't really sure who to give it to. So you got 2 running backs getting votes and like screw it, this defensive
Yeah,
player.
but
has
running backs
changed.
were a big deal back then too, though.
Yeah, for sure. And the Giants that year went 14-2 and Parcells, dominant defense. They gave up 14.8 points per game.
Lawrence Taylor's defensive coordinator that year, I do believe, was one William
Bill
Belichick.
Belichick. All right, next up.
All right, so I have 2 and 3 slotted.
Yes. 2017 Tom Brady.
Well, now the question becomes: are we going to get like a Peyton Manning in here? And if I do, does it matter?
Anybody who's been an MVP can be on this list, Wilson.
Exactly.
Mark Mosley.
Better think about this.
Has Kenny Pickett won the MVP before I make this pick?
No,
He might win it this year, but up to this point, no.
There's time. I'm going number 1. I'm going to do away with the suspense. I ain't messing around unless there's another Tom Brady. I don't care.
It's 2017 Tom Brady, by the way.
Yeah, I know 07 Tom Brady was crazy. I'm sure he won it that year too, just because they went undefeated and he threw 50
Suffice to say,
touchdowns.
Tom Brady won it in 07.
Yeah, so I don't know what his numbers were in 17, but it's Tom Brady, so I don't care.
Okay, Tom Brady in 2017 led
If
the
Harry
league in
does a trick
passing
where he has a
attempts.
bunch of Tom Brady's on here, then I won't know the difference between their stats.
All right.
4,577 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
That's average Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's not the greatest year. Todd Gurley, second place. That was the Carson Wentz year when Carson Wentz was going
All
to
right.
win.
Dang it, Harry. If you're going to do that, then I'm going to have to go. What have I done? I've done 2 and 4, 2 and 3.
One, you've done 1, 3, and 2.
Yeah. All right.
Would you like to move this Tom Brady to a different spot?
I'll put average Tom Brady. I can't move him now?
You know what?
I think that's you take your hands off the piece. It's over.
Fair enough. I would if I could move him to 4, but now if Harry's going to do the old switcheroo on me, I'll leave him at 1, 1, 2, and 3.
This feels like something designed to get Breech and just got Wilson.
Oh, Breech wouldn't have fallen for it because he knows the years. I don't remember.
Breech would be like, no, I know what's coming. All right, Breech, you go ahead. What? Who's next?
Next up is 1965 Jim Brown.
I would imagine he was probably untackleable during that. He's like Gale Sayers of the 60s in terms of being unable to be tackled. Lacrosse player.
His second MVP. He actually had 2 runner-up MVP awards runner-up places before winning this award. He led the league in 65, his final year in the league, in rushing yards for the 8th time. Led the league in rushing touchdowns for the 5th time.
He averaged 110.3 yards per game.
So this is going to be a situation. By the way, he went to Syracuse, of course, played lacrosse here, and he was unstoppable on a lacrosse field back in the 60s or maybe even the 50s when he was here, when lacrosse wasn't even
34
a thing.
passes, dude.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm probably going to put him 5, and then producer Harry's going to come back with 07 Brady, and I'm going to get punched right in the face. So,
well, I would recommend balling your hand up into a fist because next up we have 2007.
I was going to put Jim at 5. So what's next?
2007 Tom Brady.
Harry. After all the Dolphins love,
you got.
On Boxing Day, no less.
2017 Tom Brady and 2007 Tom Brady. Got him. Nice work.
Unlike
work,
Breech, I don't know. I don't remember the dates and the stats from those dates. I just remember the names. So that's why I was indifferent to Tom Brady. But I got the crappy Tom Brady, if that's possible.
2007 Tom Brady, 68.9% completions, 4,806 passing yards, 50 passing touchdowns, averaging 300.4 yards per game, 16-0.
But wait, they cheated according to Eric Mangini, or does that not matter?
8.3 yards per attempt, 1 MVP and Offensive Player of the Year.
And I noticed our resident Dolphins fan, Harry, picked 2 Tom Brady seasons where he lost the Super Bowl.
Ooh, good point. Also worth noting, Tom Brady in 2007, not unanimous MVP.
Is that because people were angry about the cheating, perhaps?
I believe so. There were 1 vote was not given to Tom Brady.
Is it for Matthew Stafford? Still in college, Matthew Stafford?
He was not in the league. Can you name who received a single vote?
Peyton?
His team went 13-3 that year.
That's a Peyton Colts record. 2007. The Steelers weren't good that year. That was Tomlin's first year. Flacco was not in the league yet.
Phillip Rivers, your boy?
Oh,
Nope.
That's a good call. And it's not Peyton?
Nope.
LaDainian?
It's an NFC player.
Jeez,
Whose team obviously lost to the Giants in the
Favre.
playoffs. Favre it is.
That's all I needed.
I was going to guess Kurt Warner. All right.
Breech probably looked. That's my guess.
You just said they lost the Giants in the playoffs.
Oh, shut up, Breech.
They gave it away.
Well, the Giants lost. I mean, the
Didn't
Giants.
they lost in the NFC title game, didn't they? The Packers?
Yeah, but the Giants beat 3 NFC teams.
Yeah, but who would remember any other NFC team?
Breech had just enough time to Google it while you were lobbing out AFC names.
You gave an easy hint.
Breech, I'm sort of surprised you don't have
you'd guess 12 things.
Let's see. The Giants beat the Buccaneers. Jeff Garcia. I didn't think he got the MVP vote.
Weird how you have that in front of you so fast.
The Cowboys. Well, I just
how did you get that up in 3 seconds?
Because I had Tom Brady's career up because I was looking at 2007 versus 2017. And so
that was
easy
a Tom
to click
Coughlin
on that
Red
season.
Face game. Red Skull.
Dallas. Tony
Wait,
Romo.
was that the cold Tom Coughlin game or is that 2011?
That was that game.
I think it was
It was that game. Okay, yeah.
All right.
That NFC Championship game. The I mean, Breech is like the best. Breech is like the most ruthless cheater on these
I'm
online.
sort of
like
surprised
these-
he doesn't have Google Glass and he's just reading it off the.
Oh, I need to get Google Glasses.
I know, right? That's
Oh
what-
my God! Yeah,
That's
you're right.
Warren
Negative,
Tynes hit the field goal.
negative 23 degrees wind chill.
And he didn't wear a face mask. That's all tough.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Smash that like button. Subscribe,
Boxing
rate,
Day.
and review.
Touch
your
the like button
friends.
softly.
Tell your family. You're sitting around day after Christmas. Tell your family about the podcast. For Wilson, for Breech, for Pete Prisco, I'm Brinson. See you guys later.